Hey everyone, I'm Chuck Tate. Welcome to 41 Strong Podcast. This is a podcast that delivers encouraging scriptures and stories to help people like you hold on and stand strong. So for more information about 41 Strong, 41 will come, you can go to chucketate.com. That's chucketate.com. All right, well, listen, today is episode 107. And I have a good friend on the line with us who is going to share part of his story, and it's a wild story. I know you're gonna love this guy. He is a vlogger. He's a pastor. He's a church planter. He is a dad of 7 kids. He is an adrenaline junkie. Did I mention Iron Man? I'm inspired just by following him. And Scott, I don't even know if you know that, but man, I am super inspired by you. So it's an honor and privilege to have you on 41 Strong. Scot Mendenhall is my guest.
My pleasure to be here. I watched this from afar, so I'm super honored to be a guest today. So thank you so much.
Yeah, man, thank you, Scott. Well, we go way back. In fact, in Rock Church's early years, like we just hit 20 years, by the way. So, and I think it was right around our 9th or 10th year, you were traveling and you were hosting, really helping churches build youth ministries. You ran an organization called The Rush, and we had you guys for I think 6 months, or actually maybe even a year. And we did an indoor skate park. And you were bringing in a full band and full lights and full sound, and completely transformed our youth ministry way back in the day. And it was so fun and so cool to see, to watch you up close, and then to see God just open up doors for you. And, you know, you ended up in Miami working for Potential Church, and then you went from Miami to Minneapolis, right? So,
Yeah.
why don't you tell us how did you end up from Miami to Minneapolis?
Man, I wanted an upgrade in the weather for sure. You know, I wanted to trade in. You know, I want to trade in the palm trees for Christmas trees and the sandy beaches for snowy slopes. That's what. No, I mean the quick story is man, I got a heart for Minnesota. Growing up, spending my summers in Brainerd, Minnesota. Fell in love with the Twin Cities, and when got an opportunity to start a church, man, I jumped on the opportunity to come to the Twin Cities to do that. I thought, what a great place to go. One, because you love the people. Second, because the people here it's considered the volunteer state, and so I was like, man, what if you partner people that love to volunteer with the message of Jesus? Boy. Does that kind of revolutionize the city and stuff? And so that was 4 years ago. And at that point, I thought I was the LeBron James of church planning, and now I realize that I'm not. And when I hear that you're celebrating 20 years, man, that is inspiring. And I hope to, you know, we're trying to make it to 5 and then 10, and so 20 years seems so far away. Because I know what it's taken to get to our 3-year anniversary a couple weeks ago. And so I'm like, well done, Chuck. Well done, bro.
Hey, thank you, man. And congrats to you, man. You have been rocking it there in the Twin Cities. And in fact, I went to North Central, Assembly of God School there in Minneapolis, and just started writing for their magazine, believe it or not. But I remember the Twin Cities well. I remember how cold it was. I remember all the skywalks everywhere, and specifically a guy on the 4th floor that I lived in, just for fun, he got dared to push a refrigerator out the window onto the skywalk, and he did it. and I never saw him at school again. He was dismissed, but that's another story for another time, man. I just want to say I'm proud of you. I'm excited for Unlocked Church. And how's it going?
Man, it's going amazing. I think the biggest hurdle, I think, for us, and some would say, and I'll get it in a second, so hang on, everyone that's listening. I'll tell you what the biggest hurdle is. You know, we dropped in not knowing a soul. We didn't know one person here. And we just knew that we were called. That I think that's probably, if somebody's like, oh, if they're listening, like, how do I know if I should go start a church? You better be called to do it.
Yeah.
It better not be out of disgruntled. Well, I think I can do it better than my lead pastor, or I think I just can do it better. Because man, it's too hard of a thing to do to not be called to do it. There's been plenty of opportunities to want to quit because it got really difficult, and the only thing that keeps us going, besides the love for the people, is that we're called here. And so because God called us here, we know that everything, the good, the in-between, and the great, are all for his good. And then you stay in the fight a lot longer than, oh, it's tough, I'm out of here. It's your book that was so encouraging. I know this isn't about me dropping a plug for your book. Your book is amazing. But your book is just a reminder to me that, hey, if the day can get better the next day, 41 will come. I wish it was. I got to count down 41. I hope in my case it's not 41 years of church planning. But you do want, you're hanging on to that, man, that when you get over that hurdle where as a church you're self-sufficient. But we dropped in not knowing a soul, met a bunch of people, had a grand opening 3 years ago. And man, this past summer, we are a baby church. We are not setting any records on the amount of people that attend. But man, I think that one of the coolest things to be a part of this past year, we did 2 free summer camps in the middle of a park in Maple Grove, Minnesota. And we saw over 925 kids at our summer camps with over 200 salvations. And we're a small church. I mean, we're a baby church. We have no business being a part of that. And you know what? The old version of me would have taken all that credit going, I'm just a talented guy. I'm the LeBron James. No, man, we really just found where Jesus was in this. It jumped into it. And we brought in 9 different missions teams from the United States came in and helped us pull this off. And to see over 2 different camps, 925 kids and all those salvations, man, I still am humbled by it. It just was phenomenal. And so that just gives you a lot of momentum. And then the hardest thing for us really is resources. We got to still raise our resources, not knowing anyone, not really sent out by a big organization that funded this thing. It's been an uphill battle of raising resources. When you dream of doing a free summer camp, well, that costs money. We have to go and ask other churches and other people across the United States to give resources. And I'm a pastor, not a salesman. You know what I mean? And so that's the biggest hurdle. And somebody probably listening go, oh, of course that is. But yeah, somebody listening might just go, oh yeah, of course it is. But man, for me, that's real life. You know what I mean? It's like the difference between the dream right now is not the work ethic, is not the desire, it's resources. And really, that frustrates me because when you gave me the accolades a moment ago, the Ironman, and I just finished the Twin Cities Marathon and stuff, I like those because it's all on me. It's depending on me to get across the finish line, right? All outside circumstances I have to manage. But in church planning, there's a lot of outside circumstances that I don't have an option to manage. It's like, what do I do with this? I can't just go out and pull dollar bills off a tree in the backyard. Jesus has got to show up with it.
Yeah, amen. And well, you said something that was hitting the nail on the head, and that is this: you got to be called. And if you're called, and God gives you the vision, that vision comes from Him. First the vision, then comes the provision. And as you know, it's not easy to raise resources. In fact, when we planted Rock Church more than 20 years ago, we didn't belong to a church planting network. We weren't aware of any church planting networks that even existed. We just had a vision. We felt called to the Peoria area. We didn't have a padded bank account. We stepped out in faith. So I'm living proof that you can make it with zero resources. I mean, zero. If we didn't have an offering that first week, we wouldn't have been even able to pay for the building that we were subleasing at the time. It was just, man, here we go. I hope we have enough in the offering to cover our first week's rent. So we made it, and you're making it, man, hitting your third year. You're rolling now, because I know most church planners that do throw in the towel, they do so before they hit age 2, and you're on your way to way 3. I mean, ministering to 900 plus kids at summer camps is incredible. And speaking of kids, you have 7 kids yourself, between you and Holly. So why don't you tell us about your kids? And I know that what I'm fascinated with is not just the fact that you're a pastor and you have 7 kids and you have time to do Ironmans and all these other things, but why don't you share the names of your kids? Because I know when people usually hear their names, at first they think, oh wait, that's got to be their middle name, or maybe those are just nicknames. But no, man, these are their names. Why don't you share it, man? I'm not even going to attempt to try to rattle all 7 of them off.
Well, that's a test in itself for me to rattle off all 7 of them. No, somebody's listening, and they're same jokes I say every time. So, Chuck, you've already heard these jokes. But somebody's always going, man, 7 kids, you know what causes 7 children and all those things. I think we do. Some of our strategy in growing our church is we'll provide the children's ministry. It's like we're going to grow our church one way or another. But no, we have 7 kids. We absolutely love it. Their names are legend, epic, icon, historic, inspire, greatness, and courage. And those aren't nicknames. Most of them don't even have middle names to fall back on if they so chose to not have that name. And I think in Western culture, we kind of lost the idea of our names or some kind of identification for ourselves, not just by our name, but like it means something. And so as parents, we didn't want just a name like Scott. Like, seriously, have you ever looked up what Scott means? It's not impressive. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just so ordinary. And then my wife's name is Holly. You can't get much more, like American names, and that doesn't inspire. And we really wanted to speak into our kids' lives that, man, we don't expect them to be famous or rich. We just want them to know that we think highly of them, but really that God has big plans for them to live a legendary life, to inspire those around him, to have a life of greatness, to encourage people along the way. Every name represents something, and it's been fun to leverage as they get older their name in raising them. And so I like it. I'm more known now as, oh, you're Legends Dad, or, oh, you're Epic Dad. I don't even have an identity anymore. Like, I don't even, even on YouTube as we vlog, people are like, oh, yeah, you're the one with all the kids with the crazy names. They don't even know my name. They know just I got 7 kids with crazy names. So I've created my own problem.
I love it. So let's talk about the vlog. You have a vlog. It's called Whatever Vlog, and I think you have right around 2,000 subscribers. And man, I'm just convinced you're going to get a TV show, because you need a reality show. I mean, you've already your whole life is on camera, and I love all the posts. It's fun. It's funny. It's inspiring. It's encouraging, and I'm just waiting for you to be on a major network, man. But in the meantime, tell us about the vlog.
Yeah, so we really, the reason we even started the vlog, well, one, you say everything's being recorded. I'm recording currently in my office. I'm recording the screen of the computer where I can see you. So yeah, I'm documenting this. It'll be in a vlog at some point. But it came down to, since we didn't know anyone in the Twin Cities, when we're talking about starting a church, well, people didn't know us, and we wanted a quick way for people to learn who we were and how we parent and the thinkings that we have. We're like, let's just start vlogging it. And so really it's been a heart to reach people for Jesus through the vlog, which we could go on and on about how Unlocked Church has got people inside the church because of our YouTube channel. They found either our videos about boosted boards and things of that stuff, and then they jump into church on Sunday, give their life to Jesus. It's been pretty wild. And so we started it that way, and then just getting a little bit of traction. And you speak of a reality TV show. We were reached out by a network probably 8 months ago, maybe a little longer than that, by a network. And we just felt like, man, we would lose control of being able to just put the cameras down and all those things. Like, we're not trying to be famous or rock stars. That's not the goal or intentions. It's really to just spread the gospel of Jesus, just tell people the story of Jesus, point people to him. And so we felt like, even though we are growing on YouTube, it's not at any fast rate. We would love to blow up on YouTube just to keep pointing people to Jesus. But it would have to be the right circumstances for a reality TV show because I don't want to lose the control of the story we want to tell.
Yeah.
And how much time we invest in it. But if people want to find us, they can search my name on YouTube. Just like if they're watching, they can see my name there. They can go subscribe, or they can just go to YouTube and then Scot Mendenhall, ScotMendenhall. They can find me on all social media with that way, and they can follow along the crazy stories. We just finished posting yesterday. Right now we're posting on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we just are telling the story of me crossing the line at the Twin Cities Marathon with the flu.
Yeah.
So,
dude, so last night I follow you on Strava, and you're always running and swimming and biking and you're always training, and I've already mentioned it. I'm so inspired by you, and I know a few weeks ago, I do 2 miles when I go out and run. I usually go 2-3 days a week, and you commented, I want to see you go to 3. So I did, man. I was inspired. I hit 3, and now I just need to get to where I'm doing 3 every time instead of 2 every time. But so last night I got back from a run, or actually right before I went on my run, and I just wasn't feeling it, man. I really wasn't. I was just not even feeling like going out. And I look down on my feed, and I see that you do the marathon with the flu. And I'm like, I suck. I mean, oh my goodness. I'm serious. I'm like, okay, I can do this. If you can run a marathon with the flu, I better be able to jog, at a very slow pace. 2 miles. But no, seriously, dude, I'm inspired by you, man. I mean, you're an Iron Man. You ride your booster board everywhere. Are you, by the way, I have a question. Are you endorsed by Booster Board?
So it's called Boosted Board, and we have a relationship at the moment.
Okay.
They helped us with our camp. They gave us a lot of gear to give away with our kids. They post our videos that we create for them. So it is not an endorsement or where we're getting some kind of income at the moment, but there is a strong relationship there that we leverage them in the Twin Cities, and then they leverage telling our story as well. So maybe at some point, I just love the boosted boards. They're an electric skateboard. They go 22 miles an hour, 14 miles distance, like the whole summer here in the Twin Cities. A bunch of us on our team here have boosted boards, and I put almost 1,000 miles on it. I didn't drive my Jeep around. I just rode the boosted board. It's a great way to get around. So,
I love it, man. I love it,
yeah.
dude. Man, well, if I lived there, I would totally be at your church, man. I would be, man. I would get myself a board, and I would probably end up in the hospital if I did that. But anyway, well, listen. As we kind of come to a close in today's episode, I'm definitely going to have you back on so we can talk further. But let's get serious for a moment. I mean, you had a little bit of a scare here within the last year or so, right?
Yeah, and it's on the vlog as well. I just went in for a normal checkup, and then, I'm like, hey, what's this thing on my chest? And they're like, oh, let's cut it out. They cut it out, and then I get a phone call. A couple weeks later, they say it's skin cancer. It's the bad kind of skin cancer. We got to get it cut out of you. And do not do this if you're married. I just rolled into the house right after the phone call, and I told my wife, like, hey, I got skin cancer, and they got to do surgery. And then I left. I had a meeting, so I just left Holly. You can go back and watch the episode. It's the same day our cat dies, and she is just a wreck. She's like,
man,
you can't ever do that again. You can't say you have skin cancer and then just roll out. And went through that, and then I got it again. And they, cancer's scary. It doesn't matter what's attached to it, skin cancer or anything. I said that when I get skin cancer, and somebody got on me pretty fast. They're like, bro, you understand that the kind of skin cancer you have, it takes people's lives. It's not just skin. Your skin is the largest organ in your body. When people start putting that perspective, it changed it a little bit for me.
Yeah.
And I got real selfish real fast. I was like, Jesus, here I am out planting a church. Why not somebody that is so far from you? And boy, did I get that. Probably was more humbling than even it's just how I handled that. Just that, man, I ran to the selfish mode versus going, okay, Jesus, what are you going to do with this? How can I talk about you more. It was like, why me? Why me? And man, that was probably the most humbling piece out of that journey for me, that I learned a lot about myself. And it's funny how every setback in our lives, if we look at them right, it's usually Jesus trying to say, hey, I want to teach you something. Pay attention to the tension in your life, because that's where Jesus wants to speak. We always want to resolve all tensions really fast. And Jesus is trying to say, no, I'm creating the tension because I want to teach you something to be more like me. And so there was a lot of tension around that skin cancer for both Holly and I. And we just realized, man, that tension that's being created there, Jesus is trying to teach us. What do we need to learn? And there was a lot of trust. I thought already, Jesus, I trusted you already. I moved from Miami to Minnesota. No one does that. I'm raising 7 kids. I don't know anyone in church planning. And Jesus keeps saying, no, I think you got more in you than you think. I think you can trust me and your faith can increase. And that's really what the journey was. It was really scary because you get it removed and then they turn around and say you got it again on your back. And go back in for another surgery. But the great thing is a little over a year now, no more skin cancer, learned a ton, and it's still part of those stories that you get to share. And honestly, if you missed the part I said again, man, pay attention to those tensions in your life, because Jesus is trying to speak to you in that tension. Don't resolve it so fast or ignore it. That's where Jesus is trying to speak to us.
Amen. Amen. Well, speaking of Jesus speaking to us, can you take a moment as we wrap up and pray for those that are watching, those that are listening, and perhaps somebody's watching and they just got diagnosed with skin cancer or another form of cancer, or they're in the middle of a setback or a hardship, or perhaps planting a church and there's so many unknown variables ahead. Can you go ahead and close us out by praying for those that are watching and listening?
Yeah, I would love to. Jesus, I thank you for my friend Chuck. I thank you for his heart to serve the Peoria area. I thank you for what his book's doing. I just ask those that are listening, watching, wherever they're hearing this message today, and something was said and their heartbeat picks up, their stomach starts to get butterflies because you're speaking to them. I just ask that you would breathe confidence into them, that you would breathe safety into them, those that are in the midst of a setback. They just lost their job, diagnosed with something, a relationship severed. They're terrified. Their faith is at a low level. I just ask that you would increase their faith, that you'd show up and show off in their lives, give them the eyes to see where you're showing up and showing off. May we dust our knees off, pick ourselves back up, and keep running the race set out before us. Those that are in the need of help, would they reach out to someone today? And as I said a moment ago, give us eyes to see where you're already showing up, Jesus, because you are. Sometimes we miss it. So I just ask you, give us eyes to see where you are at work in our lives, in our cities, and in our communities. And I thank you for a beautiful day where we're alive today. May we be able to recognize the tensions in our lives and then ask you, Jesus, what should we do about that? May we run to you, Jesus, on all topics and not to what does culture have to say on this tension. But may we come to you, Jesus, and say, Jesus, what should I do with this tension in my life? So, Jesus, speak to us very clearly today. And whatever we put our hands to, may you do something profound with it. Jesus, we love you. In your name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, Scott. Well, before we sign off, one more time, why don't you tell our listeners and viewers how they can find you on social media, how they can subscribe to your vlog?
Yeah, it's my name, but again, along with those unique names that we've named our children, the only thing unique about my name is my mom left the T off. So it's Scott with one T, and then Mendenhall. So it's SCOT, and then MENDENHALL. And if you're watching it, it's on the screen. But everything on social media is my name. So go to YouTube, subscribe to that. That's where we post the most up-to-date and current stuff, and then Instagram and all that stuff. It's been a pleasure to be hanging out with everybody. Chuck, you are awesome, bro. It's an honor. I've watched these podcasts every time. I'm like, man, got up to 100 and I'm still not on 100. I thought maybe you're gonna do like 141, like a big epic one. You got.
That is so funny, dude. Well, I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to hang out and connect with us today. So, man, let's do it again.
Yeah, please. It would be an honor. Thank you so much, man.
All right, man. Well, I'm cheering you on. For those who are watching and listening, my guest has been Scot Mendenhall. Our producer is Mike Sable. I'm Chuck Tate. We look forward to seeing you next week on 41 Strong.
PeoriaLife.com.